Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. It's great to be with you on a Wednesday across Charlottesville, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. Today's guest, I'm very excited to spotlight. Melanie Dorion will join us in T-minus 45 seconds to spotlight her journey in medicine, her journey as a businesswoman, her journey as a very competitive athlete that was once training for the Olympic team in mountain biking.
That's correct.
We're going to talk all things Melanie Dorion here on the I Love CVille show. Before we welcome her to the program, let's thank some of the sponsors that make the program possible. We are an advertising agency and VMV Brands and I Love CVille, and two of our favorite clients, Interstate Pest and Service Companies and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. We represent all aspects of their brand, from radio, TV, print, direct, social, mobile, photo, video, anything you can think of. Interstate started in 1969 with the first generation, Mr. Wells. Today, the business has 4 generations of family running it, almost 100 team members, and a Commonwealth-wide working footprint. We'll also give some props and attention to Dr. Wagner, Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Physical therapy, chiropractic care, sports medicine, Dr. Wagner is changing people's lives. Again, if you'd like to be a part of the program, just like Nell Fox, she says, hey, Melanie.
Hey.
Give it a like and a share or leave your comments in any of the pages you're watching the show. If you're watching outside of Charlottesville, put your location and I'll relay it to Melanie. Judah, you're the director, my friend. Let's go to the studio camera. Let's welcome Melanie to the show. First, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. What makes you tick? The passions, the hobbies, and interests. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going is really to have, especially when it comes to the medicine aspect of my life, is to get people to engage in their health and really take charge and realize that feeling optimal is possible at every age and at every stage of your life. And when people start realizing that and engaging, and I mostly treat chronic complex illnesses, so when people are recovered from an illness and then they start feeling better, I've had multiple people in the past come to me and ask me, so what's next? That is the ultimate tick in terms of medicine for me. That keeps me going for days, hours, months, you name it. When people realize there's more than, there's life after chronic illness, and then they want to re-engage in life. And I've had multiple people now transition back to being athletes, back to being executives, back to really contributing to the world. So in terms of the medicine, that really gets me going. I absolutely love what I do, and to get people healthy again and to get them functional and then to get them to peak perform and feel optimal. And peak perform in any field. It can be in sports, it can be as business owners, it can be as a parent. If you want to feel your best, whatever your area is, then I can help support that and hopefully help bring people to that. And based on that, I started a peak performance program so I could help my patients who are transitioned from after chronic illness and then they wanted more. So that in terms of the medicine really gets me going. The other part of it is being outdoors and sports for me. I've been an athlete my whole life, competitive skier since I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Transitioned to mountain biking at age 14, got on the national team at age 15 for mountain biking, and then that was that. I never looked back. I love trails. I just love cycling as well. And now I'm transitioning into triathlons and just signed up for a half Ironman. So I'm challenging myself in many ways. But just doing sports and feeling strong and healthy and balanced, because it's not just about being fit and strong. You have to be healthy through it.
Sure.
And then just being outdoors in this area. I chose to be here in the Blue Ridge and to be in Charlottesville because of the access to nature, because of the access to mountains. These mountains help me heal from chronic illness and just really feed my soul. So what makes me tick? There's a lot of things, but really in medicine is just to have people engage and feel optimal. And then just to be involved in my sports and doing that, and including my sons in my life as well, which is really, really fun to have them involved and have them engaged. We just ran the turkey trot in Earlysville last weekend.
Nice.
Way to go, Emily Hatch with CMS. She put on a great event, and she had an event like a little half mile for the kids, which my youngest, my 6-year-old, ran, and then my 12-year-old ran the 5K, and just like they had a ton of fun, and it was really great. So those are really the things that make me tick.
I love it. Great
Yeah.
first answer.
Thank you.
A lot I can springboard off of there. So we have a lot in common. And you're getting 2 countries watching the show. We have Tacoma, Washington watching the show. Hello, Donald Balmer.
Yay!
Give it a like and a
NP.
share. And if you'd like to relay any perspective to Melanie, just put it in the chat box and I'll pass it along. Caitlin Mancini, welcome to the show. Yes, they are Caitlin Mancini. So how about this? Let me throw this to you. You are very competitive, whether it's competitive in being the best version of yourself, whether it's competitive in chasing a time, whether it's competitive in mountain biking, competitive in running. I'm the same way. I'm going to throw this topic to you. The goal or striving every morning to wake up to be the best version of yourself. What does that mean to you?
That keeps me going.
Me too.
Yeah. I want to constantly improve myself and use the gifts that I was given and expand on that, make it big and make it available to the world and really contribute, be involved in my community and give back. So for me, being the best version of myself is to use the talents that I know I have. Most people do know, and that sometimes it's from a very young age. You had that feeling that you were meant to, and fill in the gap, X, Y, Z. And using those talents, either being my talents in integrating medicine and doing medicine in a creative way, or using my athletic talents to reach more people so that more people feel empowered and feel healthy. So for me, it is a constant reminder to be who I truly am and be genuine and work on areas that are maybe not my areas of strength and embrace them and not fear them and not avoid them, which a lot of us will avoid those, or weaknesses or areas that need to be worked on, and work on those things and get support when needed, but really face those things. But then also, and I learned that through actually the CIC business program in town.
Oh, you did CIC?
I did CIC. It's
Nice.
an amazing program.
Yeah.
It's actually the reason I started my practice.
Okay.
I didn't think I could do it, and then I did CIC, and I'm like, I can do this. I can start my practice.
Awesome.
I wasn't even in the CIC for that. I was there for my Pentad Integrative Health online educational platform. And halfway through, my group leader, PJ Harris, it was very inspiring. And I whispered.
He's launched a business called Totem, right?
Yeah.
And a former attorney?
Correct.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
So he was my group leader.
Cool.
And I whispered to him one day, I'm like, I'm going to switch businesses because I'm going to start my practice. He's like, well, that happens. That's effectively the definition of being an entrepreneur. So let's shift gears. So then the second half of the whole CIC program was about starting my practice and really growing it and having the tools that I needed. So thanks to that program, that's how SanaVi was born. So that was really exciting. And then just really facing things in a gracious way and being thankful and grateful for things. So I worked also with Tiffany Jeffers, who was on the show, I believe early November. And I've worked with her. We've collaborated on many patients, but I've also worked with her personally. I had areas that, especially after recovering from chronic illness, I knew I had some emotional baggage I needed to work on. And she really, really equipped me with some amazing tools and just being gracious about events in your life that are challenging, but just having a gratitude practice, including mindfulness and, meditation. And I remember a quote from Dave Asprey, who's the owner of Bulletproof, and when one of his mentors was talking about mindfulness and he wasn't yet meditating, and effectively the mentor said, listen, dumbass, if you're not meditating, you are not reaching your full potential. And I heard that, and this is I'm quoting them, and I heard this podcast and I could not stop laughing because effectively Tiffany, in her super, super nice way, said the same thing to me.
Right.
She's like, if you're not including daily mindfulness and meditation and have a gratitude practice, you're probably not going to reach your full potential. So, being the best version of myself, being highly competitive, it is about using all the tools that I have, equipping myself with more tools or people to support me in that growth when needed, and then just making sure that I'm genuine in what I'm doing. And I've overcome a lot of obstacles that have taught me things go wrong when you're not on the right path.
Yeah.
So living that genuine life has been interesting. I've come to this country. I'm Canadian, so
Yeah.
I left my country, I left my family, I left my people to
Canada's
really.
watching now.
Yeah, go Canada.
Yeah.
Probably my Aunt Terry's watching.
Probably. Actually, there's I count 14 different IP addresses watching in Canada right now.
I have a big family.
I can tell. I can tell.
But that was really, really hard. But I knew I needed to leave to live my genuine life and to really heal and grow. And I did that, and it incredibly rewarding. I would do it again. It was extremely hard leaving my family. I have an amazing family in Canada, big family too, lots of cousins, aunts and uncles, like awesome people. But effectively, I had to leave all of that to really reconnect with myself and be in my best self and just live the genuine life that I want to
give me
live.
the and a lot of people giving you props right now. Let's
Yay.
thank some of the people. Aubrey, is it Cutchin?
Yep, Aubrey.
She
Yeah.
says, "Yay, Melanie, you rock." Your former work colleague Rebecca Downey, watching right now, Dr.
Woo-woo.
Rebecca Downey.
She's awesome.
Yeah, Melanie was my office colleague previously, and I continue to collaborate on patients often. She is excellent in what she does. Her skills are sorely needed in medicine. I can't wait to hear her laugh the entire hour. Go, Melanie, go. Carla Grubb. Hi,
Yeah,
Melanie.
go
Melanie has
Carla.
helped our family get so much healthier. Thank you for that. Give it a like and a share on any of the streams you're watching. So I want to spotlight this, how you became, and let's table it for now, but how a personal need helped be the influence or the impetus of your business. We'll talk about that. Before we do that, how about growing up in Canada, being a competitive skier, transitioning to mountain biking, and then eventually getting to Charlottesville, Virginia? Give us kind of that flip book or progression.
So I was always extremely competitive
Okay.
as a kid. My parents would tell this story of how my competitive aspirations started. I was probably about 5. We were at a picnic in the summer, and there was a race for kids, but it started at age 7.
Okay.
So I was too young, and I really, really wanted to do it. And so my mom had to go up to the organizer and advocate that I could do it. So that I could race, and I just wanted to run fast. And so I entered the race, and I did actually really well, and I was pumped, and there was a point of no return after that. I said, I must compete. It's in my blood. I love it. Any competitive event, I get so much fuel from it. It's pretty obvious I'm an extrovert, so
Yeah.
I love being around people. I
Me
love
too.
being around races and athletes. And after that, I started skiing, mostly because my big brother was skiing. So hi, Carl. So yeah, we just started skiing together, ski team for about 10 years. And a knee injury, actually, my physical therapists recommended I would get on a bike.
ACL?
No, it was not clear what was
Okay.
going on. I didn't tear anything. It
Okay.
was mostly like more repetitive inflammation, tendonitis type of injury, but put me on a bike for rehab. And then I started mountain biking, thanks to a skiing friend who also did mountain biking. And he said, you'd be great at mountain
Yeah.
biking. So of course.
Did you find the same juice for mountain biking
Oh,
as you got,
totally.
right?
Totally.
Were you chasing that juice?
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that juice. You know what I mean?
Adrenaline junkie.
Right, right.
Mountain
It's like
biker.
an addiction.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so good though. So then I transitioned because I realized summer sports so much better.
Yeah.
So tired of being on the hill at 7:45 in the morning in minus degrees in my like skin suit trying to do gates. I was done. I was done after about 9 years on ski team. So then I transitioned. My first year competing as a mountain biker, I qualified. I got second in the
Get
country.
out.
I know.
You'd never mountain bike before?
No, never.
Really?
Yeah.
So you get on a bike, you start doing trails, and you're a badass?
I went pretty fast.
That's awesome.
Skiing, though, taught me what I needed to learn about trails.
How so? What, like the balance and how to go into corner? And
Yep, how to
Yeah.
take corners, how to balance your body,
Yeah.
how to really look ahead, far ahead.
Sure.
And skiing, effectively, like the coaches in skiing, you close your eyes and you have to tell them like every gate on the course and every corner and how you're going to take it.
Okay.
So I had been doing that since I was 8, so that wasn't hard for me. So in mountain biking, I
Same
would learn,
techniques.
Yeah, same techniques,
Yeah.
taking corners, speed, and how to recover from being out of balance and really use your core because it's huge amounts of core strength for mountain biking and skiing. So that was an easy transition, and it was a summer sport, huge bonus. So I did really, really well, and after that, I never looked back. I was on the national team all 4 years as a junior, and then there's 1 year I was sick and injured, so I didn't do it. But otherwise, I was on the national team for 10 years in Canada and competed around the world. And my last year well, it was in my official last year in 2000. I was in Spain trying to qualify for the Olympics. There was one last spot open on the Olympic mountain biking team for Canada. And I was in Spain trying to qualify. And during practice, I had this fluke crash. There was really no reason for me to crash. Gave myself a concussion. Yeah, at that point, probably the fourth of my career, because I was also a downhiller. So I competed in downhilling. So I crashed a lot. That's just how it is in mountain biking. But that ended my career. I tried to compete 2 days later, and it was an awful experience. Like when the entire Japanese and Chinese team, which they're not known to be mountain bikers, when they pass you, you know in cycling you're in trouble. And I finished the race. It was one of the most embarrassing races I've ever finished, but I did it, and obviously didn't qualify. And after that started almost 2 years of illness. And so I had post-concussion syndrome, but it went undiagnosed and unmanaged. And
what are the symptoms of that?
So it varies a lot. For me, it expressed itself. I was getting some headaches, but it was really like a sluggish cognition. So a lot of neurological inflammation. I had massive sleep issues. Like I had never, ever had sleep issues in my life. So lots of insomnia, lots of sleep disruption, and then started what looked like chronic fatigue, where I could not handle any sort of stress. Any stress would set me back for days to weeks. So if I would do one hard workout, I'd be done for the rest of the week.
Which is the exact opposite of the person you are today.
Correct.
And the person you were pursuing an Olympic dream.
Yep.
So, I mean, what is that point of your life like? I mean, that's vulnerability. Is there some depression there?
No, I would say, I was sad and it was upsetting, but my body and brain don't go into a depressive state. It's just not what I do. If anything, I would get frustrated and angry. But I had to shift when I realized a year and a half later, when I just knew I had to retire. The winter before I officially retired, I had double-sided all-lobe pneumonia. That I went to the doctor, they did chest x-ray, and the radiologist read it right there because it was an urgent x-ray, and he asked me how many packs a day I smoked.
And you were like, I don't smoke.
I'm like, dude, I'm a professional.
Yeah, I'm an athlete.
I'm a professional athlete.
Right.
He's like, no, you're not. How many packs a day do you smoke? He thought I was joking. So he was legitimately asking me how many packs a day I smoked. And he said, your lungs are destroyed right now. So after that, I said, that's it. I have to retire. I cannot keep pushing my body. And that was the winter between 2001 and 2002. And after that, I retired. And I had a decision to make about
How old were you then?
So 2002. I'm born in 76.
Okay.
So yeah, I was pretty young. I was very young. And in my sport in mountain biking, when I turned pro, I was the youngest athlete on the professional level in mountain biking at the world level.
Yeah.
So it was a hard career because I was very young and didn't have a lot of experience. Certainly didn't have a lot of guidance in terms of a business manager to help me with some decisions and negotiating contracts, and I was sponsored and all of that. So that was very challenging because I had to learn quickly as a 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old how to manage a professional career by myself. Wow. And I made a lot of mistakes, I won't lie. Like I was over-scheduling myself, under-recovering, over-traveling because I would say yes to everything, felt I had to. And then when it was time to negotiate contracts, I didn't have the tools that were needed really, and probably got underpaid in some instances because of that. But now I take all of those and just really learn that. And when it came time when I decided after the pneumonia to retire, something just pulled me to Virginia. And I said, where am I going to go to heal? And effectively, I opened up myself to the world. I'm like, where would I go in the world to heal? Because I know I need to heal. And it's probably going to be months to years. And just decided to come to Virginia.
Stop.
Yep, I came.
So you're throwing essentially darts at a map?
Not really, but...
why Virginia?
I had come here for training camps.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
There's a pretty big program in Quebec, training camps. Lots of French Canadians come to this area to train in the spring. And I had come 2 times previously to train, and we were climbing the mountains, effectively, in the spring camp because there's still snow in Canada and Montreal. So we came down here, and I had come twice and loved these mountains. So when I thought about where I was going to go to heal, the Blue Ridge just came to mind. I didn't know where around the Blue Ridge. I just knew I had to be around the Blue Ridge. So I packed my bags and I came and I coached a training camp for 2 months, and then I stayed. I got a nannying contract, and then I just stayed and never looked back.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is so courageous.
So this is my home.
Yeah, but I feel like up until that point, everything that you were doing professionally was like the definition of courageous. I mean, you're like super young. You're traveling the world.
Yes.
You're negotiating contracts when your background is not business or negotiation.
No
You quit skiing, pick up mountain biking, and happen to be one of the best in the country, right?
Correct.
At what you're doing.
Yep.
And so you then just pick up everything and you come to Charlottesville?
Yep. I literally left everything, whatever could fit in my 2001 Cavalier. That's
So
what
this
I
is
brought.
2001.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
2002?
2002 I came.
Okay, so you're in a Chevrolet Cavalier. You got everything that you own
That I
in
can
the
fit.
back seat in the trunk that you can fit, and you
And
drive
my 2 bikes.
and your 2 bikes up top, and you drive to Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yep. Well, I actually drove to
That is so baller.
Stewart's Draft.
Okay.
Because that's where the camp was based, and I was coaching for 2 months there with a bunch of people from Quebec. And yeah, I just left.
And when you got here, were you like this is home, or was it like culture shock or tough to assimilate yourself into the community?
I don't feel, especially not Charlottesville, it's not hard to integrate into this community. It's so awesome and loving and open. But the culture shock of what really, and I had been to the U.S. a lot. A lot of my racing was in the U.S. and North America. But living here and realizing really what the culture is, especially from a French-Canadian woman, that was quite the adaptation. It took me.
What do you mean by that?
So French Canadians as a whole really speak their minds.
Okay. I get that from you.
Not always
I
the best.
get that from you.
Not always the best filters, and think about like very explosive or like very dynamic European culture, and like in Montreal, like this, and we say it the way it is.
But at least with the French Canadian, you probably know where you stand.
Oh yeah, you'll know
Right?
exactly.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it's absolutely a good thing. But coming here in the South, where
You got to play the game a little more.
You got to play the game a little bit more, be a
right.
little bit more calmer, and the delivery has to be a little
Sure.
bit more polished. So I had to work on my delivery of everything. So the people who know me are probably laughing right now. But so I worked on it, but also realizing how competitive. And I'm like Uber Taipei driver. Like it's, this is me. And how competitive everything is in the U.S. That was the biggest culture shock for me. All the way from trying to get a job. Like, your resume has to be really a beast. And then for me, going back to school, so I had to redo college because I had part of my bachelor's done, but it was in French. So I had to effectively redo an entire bachelor's.
In Charlottesville?
Yeah, in Virginia.
Okay.
And how competitive it was. That was freaking me out for a while. I mean, I had to do volunteer work plus work in the field I want to get because I was pre-med and I wanted to go to medical school, and how competitive it is, and it was for me to get what I needed to be able to apply to the best medical schools and all that. Like everything is competitive in the U.S. Like everything. And this is for me, a Taipei, uber competitive. So I found that hard. I felt like there was not a lot of downtime. In terms of, I could never turn that part of myself or my brain off. And I found that really hard because as an athlete in Canada, when you're done your race, dude, you're everyone's friends. It's like we all love each other and it's all good. And it's not hard to get into schools. You apply to your local university or college, you get in. Like, it's not an issue. Like, everything is competitive and hard in the U.S. is how I felt when I came down here. So that for me was a hard transition, and it took me a good 2 years to maybe 3, be able to adapt to that. But I just love this community. I love the mountains. This is one of the best athletic communities I've ever been in.
Right.
And I've been around the world in athletic communities, and the support that is here from all the way from like trail running to multi-sport, the triathlon, the bike club, like it's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easy to take for granted, and some of the passions that you have, I share as well. And if I'm working 70 hours a week, and my stress reliever is like sweating and getting after it, and whether it's mountain biking or playing racket sports or running, playing soccer, I just need to be outside. I totally respect where you're coming from. Throw this to you. When you're in you're 25, 26 when you arrive in Charlottesville?
In 2002, I can't even do the math. Can you
Okay.
tell I'm a medical person and
So
not a business?
25, 26.
Yeah.
You are coming here. You're essentially launching a brand new career.
Yep.
You're getting schooling
Yep.
and then going into the field.
Yep.
Talk to me about trying to find your roots in Charlottesville while launching a brand new career, while working your tail off like you always have, and how you manage all those dynamics.
I burnt out. Yeah, I got pretty sick and got effectively chronic fatigue, and now what I know is chronic Lyme disease, and I got really, really ill trying to do it all and not supporting myself in a way that was important. And that was hard because I had come here to heal, and I had mostly recovered. I would say I was probably, after that concussion in 2000, I was probably about 75, 80% recovered. But then pushing myself to those extremes, working, volunteering, trying to compete still at a just local level for fun, going to school full time, I burnt myself out, and that was extremely challenging. So it was hard. It was hard to balance all that, but I needed to go through it yet again to really understand what having balance means. And I knew I was going into medicine, but I didn't know exactly what field. But then when I got chronically ill and no one could help me, and I went to see multiple practitioners, it wasn't that I wasn't trying. I was trying to get healthy. I was trying to get to the root cause of why I wasn't feeling well. I knew my body extremely well being an athlete, and I knew I was not at my best. But practitioners and people would not understand. They're like, well, you can still run a 5K under 30 minutes. No way you're sick. I'm like, I don't think you understand. I'm exhausted, and that destroys me for a week, where I would do that 2-3 times a week typically. So that was an interesting path that really led me to do the medicine that I do, because after having experienced a chronic disease that's invisible, that doesn't have easy answers, where no one could help me. For me, it was reaching the 8th or the 9th healthcare practitioner after seeing 8 or 9 people.
Get out.
I said, I'm done. I'm going to do this myself. So put myself through naturopathic medical school out in Seattle and diagnosed myself, built a team to help me get better. So I was managing my own health, and I put key people in place to help recover, and I did. And
why was the chronic Lyme disease so hard to diagnose?
Well, it mimics so many other things.
Okay.
And there's really a lot of misunderstanding around tick-borne infections, how they present themselves. It's rarely the classic scenario. Most people don't have the classic rash. Most people, myself included, don't ever remember a tick bite, even though I was a trail runner and a mountain biker.
Right, you're in the woods.
I'm in the woods all the time.
Yeah.
No one had even tested me for it, but there's very high rates of false negatives, and the presentation varies a lot. I feel it depends on someone's constitutional weaknesses. And for me, it was more the mitochondrial, the energy piece. I just became really, really depleted, and I developed some pretty significant adrenal dysfunction and needed to be medicated, but that went undiagnosed for years. So it mimics a lot of things. Tick-borne infections are really challenging. It's probably one of the hardest things I've taken on in my medical practice, is to manage tick-borne illnesses, because they mimic so many other things. And often, if you miss that original infection where it looks like the flu, then after that, it turns into these sneaky symptoms that can be sudden onset, pretty significant, or for a lot of people, it's more this progressive, oh, I've never been better since that flu or since that XYZ 2 years ago. I hear this all the time in my practice. So for me, it was more that, oh, well, maybe I'm just tired because of this. Maybe I'm tired because of that. Oh, maybe I'm exhausted because of this. Well, maybe I'm achy because, I did do a race. And I sucked, but I still do a race. So it mimicked so many different things, but I reached a point where the exhaustion was unbearable. I could not function. So I went from trying to qualify for the Olympics to a couple of years later, I could barely hike a few miles.
Wow.
And I was extremely dysfunctional, and the brain fog and the cognitive issues. I mean, it was so hard for me to study, and I was in medical school at that point. The whole thing sucked. So that journey, though, led me to really, really be zealous about this medicine that I do. And for me, I look back at it and I decided that I don't want anyone else to suffer the way I did and lose what I lost. I effectively lost an athletic career. At the peak of my career, I had to retire. And I lost a lot to it. But in a way, I didn't lose.
Right.
I didn't lose it because I gained a career.
Because you probably wouldn't be in this position.
Correct. So I gained a career, but at the same time, I feel like it shouldn't have been that hard. And not everyone has the resources or the ability to put themselves through medical school to diagnose themselves, which is what I did. But that was my journey. But now I'm really determined to do whatever needs to be done to make this medicine accessible to people and to really help heal people and give hope. If all I do through my website or through the medicine I do, through seeing patients, through the education that I do in public speaking, if all I do is I give hope that I give authorization to people all the time. I write a prescription. You have authorization to feel good. You are allowed to thrive, whatever age you are. I tell people you're allowed to feel great and be out there kicking some ass. That's what most of us want to do, whatever the field.
Right.
Whether you want to be an artist, an athlete, an executive, a parent,
we want to be the best versions of ourselves.
Exactly, and I'm like, you're allowed to do that. So, and I'm an example of that, and I want to put it out there that it is possible. I went from, kicking butt in a huge world platform in my sport, and to being debilitated, effectively becoming invisible, and having a really hard time functioning, to now recovered and going back to my passion in sports and competing at what is going to be a decent level. Maybe not international. I don't know that I ever want to do that again, but definitely at local and possibly a national level again.
Cool.
So I'm coming back into it, but now I'm doing it. I'm healthy. I wasn't necessarily healthy. I wasn't a professional athlete because I was under recovered and over traveled.
Sure.
So I wasn't always healthy, but now I'm doing it in a healthy way, and I'm monitoring things. Like I'm wearing my wearable device that tells me what my strain is, how my sleep was, my HRV, and I'm putting it out there. I'm in there's a Virginia team for the wearable that I have, so we compare data, and I have colleagues and friends and patients on there, and we compare data, and I'm being super transparent about what I do. They see my workouts every day, my patients. I'm like, you want to see how much sleep I got or didn't get?
What's a good amount of sleep you're supposed to get? Does it vary by person?
It does vary. There's typically...
So I'm clocking like 4 hours a night.
The bell-shaped curve will vary. The normal 6 to 9 hours worldwide is the average.
Okay.
So if you fall within that, you're pretty typical, and it'll vary. You're sick or you're more tired, you're exercising more, you're going to need a little bit more.
Okay.
But 4 hours is starting to be very atypical. There are some people who can function and thrive within the more left-hand side of the bell-shaped curve on much lower sleep. It's pretty rare, though. So for someone like you, monitoring...
Since I was 16.
Yeah. So, and it could be that that's just who you are, your constitution. But I would encourage you to at least check your resting heart rate to see what it's like. And if it's not ideal, you're heading towards disease.
Okay.
Yep. So, and that's one of the things to keep me accountable, because most type A's athletes will power through things. So, and that's how I got also very ill. I kept powering through things. So now I have a wearable to remind me, and my platform.
Keep you in check.
Yeah. My platform screams at me at night, and it was screaming last night, and I was working on a deadline. So I was staying up late, but it was screaming at me because I had a 5 a.m. workout. So it's like, you need to be in bed like 2 hours ago. I was like, but I get reminders.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to need to plan at least 2 days to recover. And I do that now, and it's been super helpful. I teach that to my patients because there's certain parameters that you can check and monitor. And if those get worse, my patient might be heading towards a flare-up. So let's intervene sooner. So those are all things that I've learned through my experience as an athlete, but also through chronic illness, and now being recovered and integrating all that knowledge on myself. So I'm really my own best science experiment and medical experiment.
So a lot of people watching right here. Your cousin is watching. Is it Sonia?
Sonia.
She's watching. Congratulations, cousin. XOXO. She's watching in Quebec.
Wait.
You're getting Danny Cadeau. Am I saying his last
name? Danny. Yeah.
He's giving you some props. Salute, Melanie. Cheryl Lynn Council. Hey, Melanie.
Hey.
Nell Fox says, Melanie healed me when no one else knew what was wrong with me. She gave me the voice and tough love I needed to get better. The Flying Feet of the Lake. Is that a running club?
I don't know.
Just shared the show into their group. You got 6 states watching the program and 2 countries right now. So you are like is this safe to say the definition of Uber Taipei?
Yes.
I see it.
No, it's absolutely safe. And I have to I've embraced that. And I've taught
we just go with it.
Yeah, just stop trying to fight it.
This is who we are.
I'm a driver type AAA. It's just how it is.
Right.
But I love it and I embrace it. And now I can do it. Whereas earlier on my practice, especially when I was an athlete, I was aggressive about it.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, no. You can do this in a super gracious, peaceful way where you can be a high achiever and a type A and a driver. But I feel like I have a little bit more balance in my life, and I meditate, and I have a gratitude practice, and I do all those things that really can level off a little bit more my nervous system. So I'm not as reactive and fiery, and I can still be the super Uber driver type A, but I'm more aligned with really my ultimate life goals.
I have a lot of
who
stuff I need
am.
to learn from you. Let me just put it this way, because I struggle with everything you just said. But here's where I was going with this statement. Were you always destined to be the number one in the business? Like, how was it like for you once you go through medical school and you launch your career? I mean, as someone with this kind of mindset here, I mean, were you always like, I gotta be calling the shots?
So for me, I knew I was going to be on a bigger platform.
Okay.
That was always the goal, and I didn't know exactly what that meant. All the way from being a kid where I thought my bigger platform was going to be international sports and professional sports. Quickly realized through illness, my bigger platform is not sports because I just destroyed my health through it. But then looking at aligning myself with really my true talents, my true goal in this life, and what I'm supposed to be doing is medicine and spreading the word. My bigger platform is to do education around chronic illness, and that people can thrive and that people should embrace and really take charge of their health. And the bigger platform for me is doing this on a bigger level and reaching more people, doing education. I do public speaking already across the country, and I've spoken in Mexico, and I want to reach an international platform of people and healthcare providers and just give hope to healthcare providers, because they're also very discouraged because they don't feel they have the tools they need to help support patients with chronic disease or to help reverse certain disease or to prevent illness. They know the tools to diagnose when the disease is there or advanced. So for me, I want to give hope, and to patients, I want people to hear this and say, oh, wait, I'm allowed to feel good? I'm like, yeah. I mean, you may not ever feel the way you did when you were 18, and that's okay. But you can be a thriving 40-something-year-old, and I'm in my 40s, and I feel better often now than I did in my 20s. And I use myself as an example, and I'm very open about my life because I want to give hope through it. I'm like, listen, don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on feeling good. And for healthcare providers, don't give up on doing your medicine that you've probably went into medicine dreaming you're going to help people. It's possible. I do this every day in my practice, and it's about really speaking about this on a bigger platform. So for me, I knew I was going to be on a bigger platform. You can't be number one in the field of medicine. That's not what it's about anyway. It's about a collaboration.
Right.
But to be available on a bigger platform and to make this medicine affordable, available, and accessible, and that's really what I want to do ultimately for my career, is to help patients, give them hope, but then educate healthcare providers and others that there's a different way of doing medicine. People are suffering with chronic disease a lot of chronic diseases are preventable, a very high percentage of them. But then also, even if you are diagnosed with a chronic disease, a lot of them are reversible, and or at least you can stop the progression and then really increase quality of life. And then that's where you can bring people back to feeling optimal and to doing the things they want to do and they're meant to do. Ultimately, don't give up. If you're out there, you're a discouraged healthcare provider, don't give up. There's a different way of practicing medicine, and it's going to be a lot of work. For me, I had to open up my practice. But also for patients or people struggling with chronic illness, there's a way to manage it differently. You don't have to be on 10, 8, 12 meds. You don't have to be under the care of 5 different specialists. There's the potential that you can reverse a lot of that, potentially all of it, and have a thriving life. So really, my goal is not to be number one. That's foolish in medicine. There's no such thing. But it's to be on a bigger platform and to do international work so this medicine is available. So that's really what I want to do.
I love that. So why don't you introduce, and you've already done this, but in a snapshot here, give a snapshot of SanaVi Health and the business model and how you're scaling and how you are helping folks. I mean, you have an incredible testimonial here from, is it Nell Fox?
Yes.
Openly on the feed here. You have Edwin Roa, Don't Give Up on Your Dreams. Terry Monahan.
Yeah, that's my aunt.
Watching the show right now. Maureen Monahan is watching the show.
That's my other aunt.
Mylene Agring. Help me with this last name right here.
Mylène Angrignon.
Okay, well,
yes.
There you go.
Bonjour,
Beautiful.
Mylène. Oui.
She's watching right now. Sonia's giving you some big time props right now. All right, introduce us to the business. The who, what, when, where, why.
So SanaVi Health, I founded it, it's about a year ago now, and it really
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. And it's really in a response to needing to do medicine in a different way.
Okay.
And I needed to have the flexibility in terms of times and number of patients I was seeing, which really healthcare providers under insurance don't have that flexibility. So people have to understand that insurance reimbursement, especially for primary care, because I'm considered a primary care nurse practitioner, the reimbursements are so low. If you run the numbers to just pay your bills as a healthcare provider, you have to see 12 to 15 patients a day. You're not making a profit at that point with the current state of reimbursements. So for clinics or providers to make a profit, they have to start seeing more patients. The current model is you have to see more people, which
So it
is
turns it into a factory.
foolish.
And
Yes.
there's no intimacy
Correct.
and relationship.
Correct. And it's a model that's really based on acute care. So you have the sore throat, you have this, you have an earache, you have possibly a broken bone, like your leg hurts. So it's a model that's based on really a short term or a new type of symptom, not for chronic disease. The model doesn't work well for chronic disease. The increased rates of chronic disease in North America is a testament that the current medical model does not work.
Okay, so the increased rates of chronic disease
All of
is a
them.
barometer that what we're doing right now is not working correctly.
Correct.
Okay.
If it were, people, one, would be better managed with their chronic diseases, but they keep getting worse, and we keep having higher rates of diabetes, heart disease. There's just another study, a beast of a study that came out that does confirm that this generation is going to live a shorter lifespan
Which generation?
than the previous generation, so our current generation.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's
And-
unfortunate.
Correct. So, and that's due to chronic disease in part and increased stress, and there's lots of reasons for that. But really my response to that was I need to do things differently, and it's not going to be under the current model. So my role, I feel, part of my role is to disrupt the current model and really offer a model that is affordable, accessible, and that is efficient. So I'm not finalized. I've just opened up my practice. So I'm working at developing this model where patients are going to have access to this medicine, because it can be very expensive. A lot of practitioners doing functional or integrative medicine are out of pocket, so it can be an expensive model, but it doesn't have to be. So that's what I'm researching and working on, and I've partnered with Sarah Snyder. Props to Sarah, she's my business consultant, and we have the same vision of making this medicine affordable and accessible for people. So we're looking at other avenues of income, because seeing one more patient in a day is a foolish model. It's burnout city. The rates of burnout for primary care providers in this country is unbelievable. The model of just see more people doesn't work. And so for me, I had to disrupt that model. So I'll see a maximum of 8 patients in a day, and that's a huge day for me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but typically it's 4 to 5 to 6 patients. My visit, new patients, I see them for 90 minutes to 2 hours. I go through a really thorough intake, and I really take my time to get to know them, get to know their family, get to know their genetics. Like, I want to know everything that I can possibly learn from the family, because it gives me insight into genetics. So it often feels like I'm just doing small talk, but I tell my patients, no, there's a reason I'm asking these questions, because I'm learning about your genetics and potentially your environmental exposures, and I'm learning a lot about you through asking about your pet and your home and where you're located and what you look like. How did you build this? Did you build it yourself? Oh, really? What materials? Like, because it helps me understand the exposure to the patient, and then also offering other ways of supporting patients. So, I'm just bringing a health coach on board, and that's actually Nell is now being trained she's going to join she has joined SanaVi. She's going to be a health coach, so she's going to really be critical in supporting patients in the diet and lifestyle aspect of things, which is critical to recovering from a chronic illness. So she's going to be able to really guide patients through that and give them a little bit more support, because often I'm not that accessible if I'm seeing 6 to 8 patients every day.
Of course, there's only one of you.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to spread that, and then I'm going to be hopefully integrating other practitioners that I'm going to train in very specific areas so they can continue supporting my patients.
Okay.
And that's really the model. And I offer other services. So I do intravenous nutritional therapies, so my patients have a lot of nutritional deficiencies. And a lot of them have digestive issues, so they're not absorbing things really well. And it can take 3, 6, 12 months to replenish nutritional needs for a chronically ill patient. orally, so intravenously and intramuscularly, we can replenish nutrients really quickly, which if you can replenish nutrients, get rid of toxins, and get sleep on board, these 3 things, sometimes that's all I do and my patients heal. I didn't even treat directly the infection. I didn't even treat directly whatever autoimmune, but we remove the obstacles and we give them the nutrients they need. And I've seen incredible healing by just doing that.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
How does the success stories inspire and motivate you to keep going and going and going and scaling the brand?
Correct. So that is the huge motivator. I see patients.
That's like a first place finish, right?
Yeah.
In a race?
Yeah, that would be effectively a podium gold medal every time. And I'm reminded of my story frequently every time, like this morning on the bike at 5:06 a.m. It didn't feel good.
Right.
And actually props to the Fix Studio. I think they're in Minneapolis, and Sophie. So she's a former colleague, a teammate of mine.
Okay.
We raced pro together, and we reconnected because of a patient a couple months ago, and now she's coaching me. So I'm coming full circle from my professional career, so she's helping and coaching me. Her workout was really mean this morning.
There's a lot of like serendipitous elements to your story.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but I think it's all meant to be, and it's inspiring also because I want to inspire other people. And she reached out to me, Sophie, and she's like, "Listen, like, can I help you in your goals for your half Ironman and for your now like rejuvenated athletic career?" I'm like, absolutely. You know what? This is now your job. I'm years removed from coaching myself or coaching, so I'm not up to date to all that stuff. I'll do the biochemistry and all the other stuff and the nutrition, but let's get a really good coaching program on board. So I have multiple people helping me with my coaching now.
Love it.
So it's been really fun actually to collaborate. And the other thing for me, I felt while I'm a type A and a driver type of person.
You understand the concept of teamwork and
Yes.
being a part of a team.
Exactly. I've always felt what I want to do, my goals, they're big. And it's always been meant to be in a team platform.
Right.
And it's never meant to be me solo, ever.
And that's because of your sports background.
I don't know if it's because of my sports
I mean,
background.
throw the competitive aspect to you of like being like so, athletically driven, especially in your impressionable years, and how that's become applicable to your professional career. Like I talk about this all the time with our clients. It's like the team sports mentality or playing sports growing up as opposed to being sedentary and sitting
Yeah.
on a couch and playing video games.
That's true.
And like learning how to win and lose.
Yeah.
And like having to work with 10 other people on a field or 4 other people on a court or 1 other partner on a tennis court to accomplish a goal. I mean, that is like certainly very applicable to building a business.
It is actually. When you put it like that, certainly what I've learned, especially through cycling, road cycling especially, and Sophie was on my road team. We built a team together actually and became one of the top, probably ranked second in the country for a couple of years.
Nice.
And it's a divide and conquer. It's an individual result in road cycling, but it's a huge team effort and putting everyone's strength in highlighting that and depending on the course and the race. And so I had to do that for years. I loved it. And some days when it wasn't about me at all, because like, well, I'm not going to be great on the flats. I'm a climber, I'm a sprinter, I do other things, but I could still contribute. But then when it was my turn to maybe either I was going to be the leader or the person who was going to potentially do well that day or support my leader. I mean, all of it. I loved all of it. And the team aspect of things, of the divide and conquer, but really utilize everyone's strength is something that I feel really strongly about. And that I'm building my team at SanaVi exactly for that. I need a team, and I want a team that's going to really complement myself and complement each other. And interestingly, actually, Sarah, my business consultant, we're going to be doing some evaluation of like strengths and weaknesses when it comes to business and how to really build a team, a solid team around that to really be able to grow and thrive like we're supposed to. So the team aspect, really, I did see when a good team, because I played basketball through all high school and my whole 5'4", I was fast and I was fit.
Quick,
so my coaches loved me. But when the team works well together, it's amazing what we can do. And so that's that model. So I think you're right. In that aspect, that model I am taking from sports. Like, let's build a team where we complement each other and the divide and conquer is really what I want to achieve. And my goals are big, to be on a bigger international platform, really have a huge presence in this area because it's needed. But it's going to be built around a team of people, like-minded people with all the same goal. And really support each other. And we're not going to be in competition with each other. Most people on my team are already extremely competitive, but it's an incredibly supportive environment. Like, man, what you just did and what you're doing really is awesome. So how can I help you do more of that? And really supporting everyone's talent. So that I feel is very important to SanaVi and building a team so that I can help more patients, I can educate more healthcare providers, and I can help more people thrive.
You are an extremely popular person by the people that are interacting with the show right now. I'll relay just a few of the comments because there are many here. Paula Stryker, Melody knows her stuff, a huge asset to the community. Katie Jones says you are a great example for all of us. We have 7 states now watching the program here. Let me throw this to you here. And I'm fascinated by the dichotomy of an entrepreneur who launches his or her business based on a personal need, which is you, and then having to scoop up the knowledge of being a businesswoman or a businessman, along with the elements that they're passionate about in medicine. So the question I'm going to throw to you, you're passionate about medicine. You went super hard into medicine like you've done everything in life. How about the business piece of running a company? How did that mesh?
This is a learning process.
Yeah?
I'm not great at it.
Different sides of the brain.
Oh, man, so different. And that's been a challenging aspect. And that's one of those where I'm trying to be super gracious and patient about it. And this is where I have Tiffany's voice. So thank you, Tiffany. I have Tiffany's voice. But it's a very kind and supportive, yet nudges me in the right direction, where there's area where I feel I suck at it and it's terrible and I get super grumpy about sitting down in front of my Excel sheets and blah, all that stuff. Like, I don't like it. That's where I need to pour even more love and more patience and more support. So I've surrounded myself, like my business consultant, Sarah Snyder. She's been so supportive. She's a beast of a businesswoman. And I mean, she's guided some decisions and everything's led to really amazing outcomes. Every time we've made a decision and she's guided the decisions, it's led to really good outcomes. And, you know, I've just partnered with like a local accounting team here, right here on the mall, EFS.
Nice.
So like,
that's mine.
Yeah.
Tucker Waldrop is the man. Are you working
Tucker.
with Peyton?
No, I'm working with Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker's the man.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
been
working with
him
Tucker.
for
And
years.
he's the most patient accountant
Right.
ever because...
Also Harvard Law degree.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah.
And I show up there, I'm a huge mess every time. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, if I click, tell me what's going on with my books, Tucker, he just smiles and shakes his head.
Conference room straight on when you walk in.
Yep, it's beautiful conference
Yeah,
room.
Tucker. Someone give Tucker Waldorf some props on the show, please.
I know. He's helping so many small
Right?
businesses, and he came highly recommended by multiple people. So I'm building a team where and also the CIC.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, the
So
CIC.
the Community Investment Collaborative.
Yes. Oh, that's been a game changer for me where I went to, there's no way I can do this. I'm a business dummy and a financial dummy too. No, I can actually do this. I'm doing it. PJ, I'm committing. Let's do it. That's and awesome. Now I'm part of their ongoing small business group. So I get reminded every month of I can do this. I have peers. Yeah, sometimes misery likes company, so we commiserate together about how hard it is to be a small business owner. And,
it is hard.
And just a reminder that you don't have to do everything as a small business owner. Hire and trade, like get people where you really are struggling. If you can't learn that easily, sometimes it's just not worth your time. Don't spend 10 hours trying to figure out social media. Get someone to help you with it and then spend some of those hours doing what you're really good at.
Sure.
Because their ROI is going to be way better if you keep shining it where you're supposed to shine. So that's been hard to learn, of admitting my areas of weaknesses and my struggles and having a hard time with some of it. But I've built a team now that I feel more confident, and certainly with the resources in the community through the CIC, I feel like, wow, they have my back. And my business consultant has my back, my accountant has my back. I'm like, okay, I can keep moving forward now. Where I felt frozen for a while. There's a lot of fear with, I'm a mom, 2 kids, I got still passions, there's lots of expenses, and I'm building this practice. And there's a lot of fear around what I'm doing. But at the same time, I don't shy away from fear. I use it as a fuel. It still doesn't mean it's not scary. So I embrace it. And I try and be patient and gracious and loving with myself. And if I don't do well in an area, I try and correct that issue and learn from it. That's something I wasn't always good at in the past. Again, Tiffany's voice is how how can we grow from it? What can you learn from it?
Sure.
What is the opportunity for growth? And that's how I position myself in areas where I struggle. I'm like, well, what's the opportunity for growth, and what's the lesson, so that I learn and it doesn't happen again, because like the repeating issues are really annoying. So I'm trying to be gracious and I'm trying to learn. But it's a challenging process to be a business owner and to learn all those aspects. But also, I'm just admitting I don't have to learn and know all of it.
Sure.
I have to be part of it, but then I can get experts and bring experts in as needed, and really be supported. And that's the team aspect. Okay, let's divide and conquer. I've reached my threshold for me to be better at X, Y, Z. It would take so much time. It's not worth it. So it's going to be more beneficial if I do less of that, have someone come in, and I can see 2 extra patients a day.
Well said.
So
it takes a while to get to that mindset, especially with our mindsets of wanting to be like, you probably share this where it's like, if you're going to get the job done right, do it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But then eventually it gets to the point where there's not enough hours in the day.
Correct.
And there's other people that can do what we need to get done better than what we can do.
Yes, exactly. And it got to a point where I was, tracking my data, my sleep and all that. I'm like, this is not sustainable.
Right.
And being recovered from chronic illness, I know better.
You know what's up.
Yeah. And now I have my Whoop bracelet, and it's like yelling at me in my app on my phone and like flashing red lights, like go to bed now because you want to perform tomorrow on your intervals. So, but then I have to like finish my finances. And so the balance is very challenging. So sometimes I tell people, I'm like, so I'm scheduled in like 15-minute increments most days. So yeah, there's not a lot of flexibility, but then I have to build in that flexibility and build in the buffer and build in some decompression time. And I have non-negotiables for my downtime and now my sleep and my time with my kids. Those are a non-negotiable. Like I will say absolutely no to everything else. If I can't integrate my kids into certain activities or integrate some downtime, now I'm much better. I'm not an expert at it. I'm not pro, but I'm much better at saying no. And also the book, Essentialism. I don't know if you read that.
I have not.
Oh, it's amazing. Turning Pro and Essentialism.
I'm gonna
They've
write
been game changers for me in my practice and my life in terms of how to graciously say no and how to work at manifesting the opportunities that are really going to grow what you want to grow, and then recognizing what are not. Because when you start manifesting things, like things just flock to you and then you feel you have to do all of it. Well, you don't. So what is really essential? And that's essentialism, like simplifying your life, your personal life, your business life, and really doing and narrowing it down to core goals. And right now, the CIC, we're reading the book. I always forget the name of the book, the High Performance Habits.
Okay.
Yeah.
High Performance Habits.
Oh, yes. Someone on Facebook should know that. I always forget. It's like the gray book with the yellow letters. But we're doing...
See if I can find it.
We're doing that program right now. We're going through that in the CIC and
That's right.
really helping all of us as business owners, like what are the core things that we need to do that we really need to do well? And if we're not doing well in some of those core elements, how can we get support, coaching, or an expert to come and help us? So that the balance is challenging as a business owner, I won't lie. And I want to have fun. I want to have downtime.
Right.
I want to have social time. My social time is my sport. So I socialize all the time when I'm with my athletic friends, and I'm fine with that because I love doing that. But it's a balance.
Pierre's giving you some props. Who's Pierre?
Yeah. Pierre Dorion?
Yeah?
Ouais, c'est mon oncle. Allô,
Ça?
Pierre. Yeah. Yeah. Bonjour, Pierre.
I'm very proud of you.
Yes, that's my uncle.
This has been refreshing. You filled an hour. This has been like the easiest interview ever. You have the gift of
Taipei!
gab. You have the gift of gab.
I'm going to do it well.
No, you did it. You excelled. You hit
Thank
a grand
you.
slam here. How about this? Why don't we close on this note?
Yes.
We want to find out more about your business and your brand and what it's all about. The show is yours.
Ooh, thank you. So you can go on my website. I have a ton of resources on my website about what I do and other resources to learn about some of the conditions that I treat. I treat mostly environmentally acquired illnesses, so chronic illnesses that have to do with an environmental impact. So toxins, mold, Lyme disease fall within that. I do a lot of oncology, so cancer management with an integrative approach. And my website is SanaViHealth.com. SanaVi is SanaVi VI, and then health. SanaVi stands, it's two Latin words together because my first language is French. So Latin is very present in my life because of my French background in medicine. There's a lot of Latin roots to medical words. So SanaVi stands for healing and thriving. So it's sana and vi are two Latin words put together that mean healing and thriving. And that's really the goal of my practice. So we also have a website. Other than the website, we're on Facebook and on Instagram. We're building the social media presence.
Nice.
So we're not hugely present yet, but we do some organic, sporadic posts. We have some series that we're developing. Nell is actually helping me with a lot of content on our social media. But those are the easiest way to get a hold of me or get a hold of my practice and to learn what I do. I put a ton of time in my website. That was a really challenging aspect of my business. It's not what I do, but I put a ton of information on what I do, and also just to give ideas on how people can support themselves.
Sure.
So those are probably the easiest way of getting a hold of my practice, me, and trying to get some help as well.
Well,
I do speaking engagements. That's the other thing. If I can't, because I can't often see one more patient in a day, so there's groups who hire me to come and speak to, like I have gyms and different like clinics that hire me to come and speak to their clients or corporations. I'm working with a company in Orange County right now. They've hired me to come and do some health education to their management team. Cool. So I'm trying to get a health and wellness philosophy into corporations. I have a corporate wellness program that I developed that I'm getting out there and starting to work with companies.
You're building a vertically integrated company.
Correct.
That's amazing.
I want to reach I want to come from all angles at really promoting health and wellness.
Different divisions all under one brand working for a common goal.
Correct. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. It keeps it varied.
Yeah,
Which
keeps you invigorated.
Yeah, I love seeing patients, but I also love public speaking, which I love. It's a huge passion of mine because I get to educate people. I get to really ignite fires in people. And then doing corporate wellness has been awesome because I get to see an entire management team of 10, 12, 15 people then inspiring all of their employees under them. So I love being able to do that and just ignite that flame and just like a candle doesn't lose its light if another candle is lit from it. So let's light a ton of those candles.
Well said.
Yeah, and I feel like what SanaVi is about is really let's spread the word that it's possible to feel well, to thrive, to heal, and to really be out there and like living your full life. So that's really what SanaVi is about.
She is the founder and medical director of SanaVi Health. We will archive this interview on totality on ilovecville.com. You crushed it.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Boom. Oh, we're doing that.
Very nice. Very good.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
This has been fun.
It was fun. We'll take the entire show, guys. We will archive it on ilovecville.com. We will turn it into a podcast on iTunes by close of business today. For the next 30 days after the show, we'll syndicate it across our network, which reaches just over 253,000 people a year, and that's across 17 Facebook pages, 17 Twitter accounts, an e-newsletter that goes out to 118,000 inboxes every morning at 11 a.m., the third largest Instagram in the community, of course on our website and on iTunes. We close the show every single day the same way, and we ask everybody that's watching the show, and we have folks, because of this fabulous person watching in Canada, watching in 6 different states, we close with the same message to please embody the golden rule. We don't make it about religion, we just make it about treating the people in your life how you want to be treated yourself, and it's the golden rule. She crushed it. Watch the show, guys. She was absolutely amazing. I feel like I could go run a 10K after this interview right now. I was so pumped. We will be back at 3 o'clock with the show that we do on Wednesdays at 3 that's focused on positive energy in our animal community, and that's What's Barking Local, powered by Animal Connection. So we're back in T-minus an hour and 22 minutes. Enjoy your afternoon, guys. So good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, it was fun. You're a natural.
Thank you.
Yeah, I looked at the clock for the first time. I'm like, we're 56 minutes in.
No, it's good. That's the public